Before we dive into these spine-chilling tales, make sure to like and subscribe to Sinister Stories for more terrifying content. Tonight, we explore the chilling mystery and unsettling truth behind abandoned places. These are places where time stands still, where the echoes of the past linger in the shadows, where the veil between our world and the next wears thin. Join us if you dare, as we uncover the terrifying horror stories from abandoned buildings, here on Sinister Stories. The air hung heavy, thick with the metallic scent of decay, and the chilling silence of a place long forgotten. This wasn't just any building, this was Mercy Hospital, a once proud beacon of healing now reduced to a crumbling monument to suffering. I could feel the weight of countless untold stories pressing down on me, each footstep echoing through the desolate corridors like a dying scream. The floor, littered with debris and stained with the passage of time, creaked ominously beneath my feet. Rusted medical carts lay abandoned, their shadows stretching out like grasping claws in the dim moonlight filtering through the grime-covered windows. The air grew colder, biting at my skin as I ventured deeper into the heart of the forsaken hospital. A faint humming sound, barely audible at first, began to rise and fall around me. It seemed to emanate from the walls themselves, a low, mournful drone that sent shivers down my spine. I stopped, my heart pounding against my ribs, and strained to identify the source of the unnerving sound. As I rounded a corner, the flickering beam of my flashlight fell upon a doorway, its paint peeling like shedding skin. Above the entrance, a tarnished sign read, "Intensive Care Unit," the letters barely visible beneath layers of dust and decay. An icy blast of air, laced with the metallic tang of blood, slammed into me, stealing the breath from my lungs. I stepped cautiously across the threshold, my flashlight cutting through the oppressive darkness. Rows of empty beds, their mattresses ripped and torn, lined the walls, each one a chilling reminder of the countless souls who had passed through this room in their final moments. The humming intensified, vibrating through the air, and I felt an overwhelming sense of dread wash over me. I was no stranger to abandoned places, but there was something profoundly unsettling about this hospital, a palpable darkness that clung to every surface. Suddenly, a gut-wrenching scream pierced the silence, echoing through the desolate halls. It was a raw, primal sound, choked with terror and pain, and it seemed to claw its way up from the very depths of my being. I spun around, my flashlight darting frantically in the darkness, but there was nothing there. My blood ran cold as I realized the horrifying truth. The scream had come from within my own head. Or so I thought. As I stood frozen in place, paralyzed by fear, I heard it again. This time, the scream was closer, more distinct, and it was undoubtedly real. The hair on the back of my neck stood on end, and I could feel my heart pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. I knew I should turn and run to flee this cursed place, but an unseen force held me captive, rooted to the spot. Then, as quickly as it had begun, the screaming stopped. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the sound of my own ragged breathing. I didn't stop running until I was safely outside the hospital walls, gasping for breath in the cool night air. The old mansion stood silhouetted against the rising moon, its skeletal silhouette a stark reminder of its former glory. Blackwood Manor, they called it, a place whispered to be haunted by the spirits of its past residents, their souls forever tethered to the crumbling edifice. I stood before it, a lone figure in the encroaching darkness, my breath catching in my throat as a shiver ran down my spine. The iron gates, wrought with intricate designs now consumed by rust, groaned as I pushed them open, the sound echoing through the eerie silence. A gravel path choked with weeds and shrouded in shadows snaked its way towards the imposing front door, its surface littered with fallen leaves that whispered secrets in the night breeze. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying wood, a pungent aroma that spoke of neglect and forgotten memories. As I approached the entrance, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, scrutinized by unseen eyes that followed my every move. The massive oak door, its surface scarred and weathered by years of exposure, creaked open with a low groan, revealing a cavernous foyer shrouded in darkness. Dust motes danced in the faint moonlight filtering through the grimy windows, casting long, distorted shadows that seemed to writhe and contort in my peripheral vision. The air inside was stale and oppressive, thick with the silence of ages. It pressed down on me, suffocating me, amplifying the sound of my own heartbeat drumming in my ears. I took a tentative step inside, the floorboards groaning beneath my weight, and the mansion seemed to sigh around me, a mournful exhale that sent chills racing down my spine. Cobwebs, thick and dusty, clung to every surface, clinging to the ornate furniture draped in white sheets, ghostly apparitions frozen in time. Portraits of stern-faced individuals, their eyes seeming to follow my every move, lined the walls, their gazes piercing the darkness with an unsettling intensity. I made my way deeper into the mansion, my hand trailing along the cold, damp walls, my fingers brushing against peeling wallpaper that crumbled at my touch. The silence was unnerving, broken only by the sound of my own footsteps echoing through the desolate halls, each one a stark reminder of my solitude in this forgotten place. As I ascended the grand staircase, its once polished banister now rough and splintered, I noticed a faint light emanating from beneath a heavy oak door at the end of the hallway. Curiosity, or perhaps a morbid fascination, drew me towards it, my steps slow and hesitant. With a deep breath, I pushed the door open, revealing a spacious bedroom bathed in the ethereal glow of the moon. A four-poster bed, its heavy velvet curtains drawn shut, dominated the room, its presence both inviting and vaguely menacing. I approached the bed, drawn to it by an unseen force, and reached out to touch the silken fabric of the canopy. As my fingers brushed against the cool surface, I felt a sudden surge of energy, a jolt that shot up my arm and left me trembling. The curtains parted with a dramatic flourish, revealing not the soft mattress I had expected, but a void, a swirling vortex of darkness that seemed to beckon me closer. I stumbled back, a gasp escaping my lips as the temperature in the room plummeted, the air growing thick and heavy with the scent of decay. The old schoolhouse loomed before me, a skeletal silhouette against the dying light of the setting sun. Its windows, like vacant eyes, stared out blankly, reflecting the encroaching darkness. This was Elm Street Elementary, a place where children once laughed and learned, now a desolate husk, haunted by whispers of forgotten tragedies. A shiver snaked down my spine as I stepped onto the cracked asphalt of the playground, the rusted swing set creaking mournfully in the breeze. Graffiti marred the walls, a testament to the building's descent into disrepair, each mark a scar upon its once bright facade. Broken glass crunched under my feet, a discordant symphony echoing through the eerie silence. The air hung heavy with the smell of mildew and decay, a pungent aroma that spoke of neglect and forgotten memories. I pushed open the double doors, their paint peeling like shedding skin, and stepped inside. The air within was stale and oppressive, thick with the dust of ages. It clung to my throat, choking me, amplifying the sound of my own heartbeat drumming in my ears. The hallway stretched before me, dimly lit by the fading light filtering through the grimy windows, the lockers lining the walls like silent sentinels guarding forgotten secrets. The silence was unnerving, broken only by the drip, drip, drip of water echoing from a leaky pipe somewhere in the bowels of the building. Each drop was like a hammer blow against the silence, a constant reminder of the passage of time in this desolate place. I ran my hand along the wall, my fingers tracing the faded lines of inspirational posters, their messages now lost to time and neglect. A child's drawing, its colors faded and paper yellowed, clung precariously to the wall, a poignant reminder of the life that once filled these halls. As I wandered deeper into the school, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, scrutinized by unseen eyes that followed my every move. The air grew colder, biting at my skin, and I could have sworn I heard the faint echo of children's laughter, carried on the breeze that snaked through the broken windows. I entered a classroom, its floor littered with textbooks and broken desks, the blackboard at the front of the room covered in faded equations and half-erased lessons. I picked up a tattered book from the floor, its pages brittle and yellowed, and ran my fingers over the faded ink. It was a history textbook, its pages filled with stories of long-ago battles and forgotten heroes. As I flipped through the pages, a chill ran down my spine as I noticed a name scrawled on the inside cover, Sarah, written in a child's unsteady hand. The name seemed to leap out at me, a whisper from the past, a connection to the unseen presence I felt all around me. Suddenly, the sound of a blood-curdling scream pierced the silence, echoing through the desolate halls. It was a raw, primal sound filled with terror and pain, and it seemed to claw its way up from the very depths of my being. I froze, my blood running cold, my heart pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. The scream faded, leaving behind an eerie silence that was somehow more unnerving than the sound that had preceded it. I stood there for a moment, paralyzed by fear, every nerve ending on high alert, listening for any sign that I was not alone. I didn't stop running until I was safely outside the schoolhouse walls, gasping for breath in the cool night air. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of darkness. We've explored the chilling remnants of abandoned places, where the echoes of the past linger, and the veil between our world and the next wears thin. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like and subscribe to Sinister Stories. Which story creeped you out the most? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, sleep tight and remember, the darkness is always listening.